I don't know how to describe it other than like a demon type of sound.
But it's silhouetted, hulking, every bit of 5.5 feet wide, 13 to 14 foot tall, pitch black.
The one thing that ran through my mind when I had this encounter was I don't have a big enough gun.
Your host, two-time witness and field researcher for more than 40 years, William Jevning. Welcome to Creek Devil.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Creek Devil. Tom, would you like to introduce our guest today?
I really would. This is Janae, and Janae's had some Bigfoot experience. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. And also, if you like the show, let us know. Click the like and subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. And if you want to become a Patreon, you can support us that way. There's a link in the description. And actually, you can do it for as little as $1 a month. So we're ready to go. And Janae, I'm going to hand the mic to you and tell us what happened.
All righty, Tom. Don't mind if I do. Good evening, everyone. I have had several encounters, but the first one I'm going to give you is the account that happened in Spokane, Washington. I was a little girl. I was about 9 years old, summer of 1998, and we would always go up to Washington State for the summertime. Sometimes we would stay for the whole year, but mostly for the summer. And when I went up there, the atmosphere it was so beautiful and nice, but also as soon as I stepped out of the car, I got the sense of dread and like I was being watched, but I could not see anything. And as time went on, we all would start hearing weird noises. First, we would hear what sounded like a dog barking, but it sounded like a little bit between a coyote and a woman screaming, and it frightened us to death. And when we weren't hearing the barks, we would hear whoops. We would hear whoop 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 whoop, and then we would hear the tree knocks were the worst. It sounded as if you would just hear it, and it was just bang, 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 bang. It sounded like somebody taking a baseball bat and just banging the bat against the tree until it just shattered. It was that loud. And we would also have the slaps on the side of the house. It would sound like this, a rhythm. And it would just continue for hours into the night. And it would begin about sunset, and then it wouldn't stop until maybe 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning when everything was quiet. And it was just so eerily quiet up there. It was nothing but woods. The nearest neighbor's house was maybe 2 or 3 miles down the road and beyond. So if you screamed for help, who would hear you? And it really gave us a fright, but we never saw anything. I didn't see anything until that same summer, but a few weeks later after we got up there, my cousin Bubby came there, and we kind of had to keep an eye on him because he had a little bit of a disability, and he would wander off. And one day, me and him were walking along the backside of the house on the way to the creek, and we had 3 dogs, Lucky, Lassie, and Lucy with us. They were all border collies, and they would never hurt a fly. They would never... Whatever would come to us or them, they would just send them away with a bark. But this time, when we went down there, all 3 of the dogs and me and my cousin were down there. And as we were going down there, I kept hearing something that sounded like trees just moving and creaking. But they weren't moving and creaking because of the air. They were moving and creaking like somebody or something was like literally pushing them or shaking them. And we kept stop. When we stopped, it stopped. As we walked, it walked. Whatever was in those trees, we didn't see it until we got down to the backside of that creek. And when we stepped out into that clearing, we saw water. That's all we were thinking about was getting, the dogs having fun, us having a little fun, just to be by ourselves. And I kept hearing another little whoop, 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 whoop. I kept hearing it, and I asked Bubby, was that him? He said, no. I thought it was you. I said, no, I'm sitting right here. And as I said, I jumped up and I looked around because I have it's 9 brothers and sisters. I make 10. I thought it was one of them that came down. So I said, hey guys, enough's enough. Cut the crap. Come on out of there. And when I said cut the crap, come on out of there, this huge black creature just stepped out of the woods. This thing, I know it was a male Bigfoot. He was about 800 or 900 pounds. He had nothing but gray, what looked to me like grayish hair with a little black mixed in it. And the smell that came from it was just awful. And when he came out, I was standing close to where he had just came out. And we looked at him and he looked at us. We didn't break a stare for 5 minutes. And when he looked at us with such hatred and such malice. We were frozen to the spot. We could not move. And then from my right rear, another Bigfoot came out and did Mr. Will wanted, this is the same as your encounter. She came right out and stood next to him. So there was a female Bigfoot and a male Bigfoot. And the female had breasts, and she was about maybe 7 or 8 feet tall, and she was a cinnamon brown color. And both of their faces, to me, it looked like 2 giant apes with a man's face. As us being children, we never were told about creatures like this. We've never even heard of it, and it just scared the damn daylights out of us. We didn't know what to do. The dogs were no good. They saw what came out of there. They peed all over the place, and then they left us hanging. So I just grabbed my cousin's hand and we ran. And these 2, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, fellas. These creatures were bounding after us like I don't think I've ever seen anything move that fast. They were on us like hotcakes. If we were trying to go to the left or the right, we couldn't do it. They were intent on having a hot lunch, and we were the hot lunch. And at one time or another, me and my cousin separated, and I tried to go back and look for him. He was gone. We didn't hear anything. I went back to the cabin and burst in the door, and my family was looking at me like, where the hell have you been? And by the look in their face, they figured that's not a good question to ask. First thing they said is, where is Bubby? I said, he went off in the woods. We got separated, and I couldn't go. I tried to go look for him, but this thing was on me. I couldn't even make a right or a left move. So I did the only thing I could do, go back and find somebody who could help me. And everybody, all the siblings, my grandparents, and my parents, and our neighbor who was there with us came to help look for him. We never found him. We called the authorities, and they came out. All these other people that my dad knew because of his job and everything, he called them out. We never found Bubby. We never found his body. We didn't even hear. We heard a little screaming here and there, and it just terrified us to death. I've never seen a creature like this, and I don't want to see it a 10th time. It is very terrifying. This is something that you just can't pull a camera out on. This is something that if you see it, for me, it'll be a flight mode, because to see 2 of these in the same sitting is a frightening thing. And if folks don't believe that this is not a primate, well, it is, and they do exist. They are here, and I'm telling you, these creatures will not hesitate to kill you. They'll kill you as soon as looking you. These creatures do exist. They are real. And I am at the point, I don't give what anyone says or thinks. I know what I saw. And the folks that came out there, They they gave us a police report where it looked falsified as if they were trying to hide something. And I kept asking, because I'm the kind of person, I ask a lot of questions. I said, Dad, that's not what happened. And my father just looked at me and kept shaking his head like he couldn't tell me anything. And he couldn't. And from that day to this one, we've never found them. No one knows a thing. And if they do know a thing, they're not allowed to say anything. Everything, it was like a cover up. And after that, I didn't hear we never heard anything about it. It was like okay, it happened. This is not what you saw, but this is what you saw kind of thing. And I'm telling you that one was one of the, I don't even know which one was the scariest, but I would say that one. Because to see two of these things in one sitting, you don't know what you're in for. And these creatures would not hesitate to grab you. They come to the house and knock around. They're looking for who. They want to know how many people is in there. One, and two, they want to know, are they a threat to? Are we a threat to them? And we are. And it was just a scary situation, Tom and Will. I don't wish this on anybody. And I haven't talked to anyone else about this but you all. So this is my first time letting anyone know about this, but these creatures do exist and they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Are you there, Tom?
Yeah, it's scary situation.
Yeah.
Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Tell them about it more.
And Tom, I have another one. This one happened in Topeka, Kansas, and I was can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. I was in Topeka, Kansas. I was a few years older than the first encounter. I was about 11, and I was at summer camp. And me and our campmates, we were all told not to go in certain areas. And if you do go there, you go there with an adult. Do not venture off by yourself. But they never told us why. And I told everybody there the story of what happened to me. And you know how kids are. Oh, that's crap. It didn't happen. It's not real. I heard it wasn't. It was a bunch of. I said, okay. I said, I'm telling you what I know. You may not have an encounter, but these things are real. So me and a friend of mine, we were out there. We were fishing down by the one of the creeks back there. And it was where a camp counselor or someone could see us or hear us if we needed help, or they had to come and get us for whatever. And across the creek, across from us on the other side of the creek, there was a creature standing in the trees. And my friend looked at me and said, "What the heck? What the heck is that across the stream?" I said, "Amy, let's get the hell on out of here. Let's go." She said, "What is that?" I said, "Amy, let's go." We hauled butt back to the camp. When we got back there, everybody was looking surprised. They didn't know whether they thought somebody had gotten hurt. And Amy was just howling about, "We saw this big black hairy creature, and he's coming towards us." And I told them, "We got to get out of here." And they said the adults were trying to say, "Janae, calm down. And Amy, calm down. Tell us exactly what you both saw." Amy was not able to tell them anything. She was in shock. I was in shock, but I was able to at least tell them something. I said, "I saw something. I don't know I know what it was, but I don't think you all want to know. We got to get out of here now." And the camp counselors were worried because they thought maybe there was somebody who was like a hermit or somebody in the woods, somebody shooting illegally near the campsite. They had no idea. So there was panic and pandemonium going around there. And as all of this was going on, there was a creature watching everything we did. And how we knew how somebody knew was there. There was somebody said, "Look, there's something in the trees. It's somebody in the trees." And from that point on, it was just pure pandemonium. The children were all screaming, adults trying to get us to calm down. And this whole while, this thing, he had no shame in his game of stepping out to let us know he was there. He stepped completely out of the clearing and looked at all of us. And it was just hell after that. We ran back to the cabins. There were no phones out there, so we had to have those. The adults had cell phones, so they were trying to call and make calls out to the police. And by the time the cops or anybody got there, that thing was going. When he saw us running, he ran with us in the trees right next to us, and we couldn't see him, but we knew he was there. And if anybody stopped, God forbid, he sure would have grabbed him. This thing was going, he was going so fast, it didn't look like he was going to stop. And both of these creatures to me looked like bodybuilders, like a WWE wrestler. That's how big and massive they were.
Muscular.
Yeah, very, very big and muscular. And that was one of the second ones, and it scared everybody crazy. Camp right then and there was over. The adults managed to get a hold of our parents. My parents came down there running. They already had a feeling of what was going on, but the other parents had no idea. And the other children they were frightened. The adults too. We just wanted to get the hell out of there. There was a situation where we all could have been ambushed right then and there. Me and my cousin, we ambushed right then and there. And in a way, these creatures were around our cabin in Spokane, Washington, because they literally would come every day the same time and stop the noise every day the same night. It was a continuing pattern. And you would never hear anything, but you would sure smell it. And the family never saw. Me and Bubby were the only ones that kind of saw this thing. Everyone else in my family had no idea what we saw. They still say today that we made everything up, that I made everything up. And I say, I don't care what you or anyone else says. I saw these things. I saw it. And there's nothing you or no one else can say to make me change my mind or doubt what I saw. There are folks today who say, oh, well, why didn't you take a picture of it? Why didn't you have a footprint? I said, let me ask you something. If you saw what I saw and I showed them a picture of it, would you be able to take a picture of it? Some people are able to do that, but me, I was not thinking about taking a picture. I was thinking about getting the hell out of there. And these encounters are they're scary. They're not easy to talk about.
Didn't you tell me one involving a bus, chasing a bus or something?
Yeah. And
tell them about that one when you're ready. That's a good one.
And Tom and Will, are you all still here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't gone anywhere. We're still here.
Okay, and there was another encounter. This one happened in Kansas City, Missouri. We were on a bus trip going to a resort, and we were all on coach buses. And I got the same sense of dread that I got from the first encounter to the second encounter to this one. Every time I've gone in the woods, it's been that same sense of dread, nothing but. And I knew that something was going to go wrong even before it did, and even before I saw anything. And as we were going up into the woods where the resort is, I looked out my window. I just said, something is just not right, but I don't see anything, but I feel that same feeling. Something's not right out here. And we got about maybe 5 minutes up into the clearing, and one of these creatures just stepped out into the middle of the road, and he stood in front of the bus. We had two buses going up, two packed buses full of people going up. This thing stood in the middle of the road. He was about 10 or 11 feet tall, a darkish brown color with a little tint of red in it. And in his eyes, he said, we're not going anywhere. Pete, the bus driver, said, what the hell is that? I went up there to Pete. I said, Pete, get on that radio and tell the other buses in the back of us to back on down the hill as careful as he can. And he was trying to say, we got to get you guys up there. I said, Pete, please do what I say. Please don't try to go past this creature, and don't try to hit it. You're not going to make it. None of us will. And as soon as they saw us backing down, there were about 4 or 5 of them that just came bounding out of the, oh goodness, it was so terrible. These creatures came bouncing out of the woods. They were just about the same size as the one that stood in front of the first bus. They were banging on the bus, growling. They were trying to turn both buses over with, about 30 people on each bus. Turn us over to either the side or turn us over completely upside down. We were screaming, hollering for help. And Pete said, how the hell is an animal like this strong? Nobody could understand it. And it was an ambush situation. When we blew the horn and turned the lights on, they all disappeared and scattered. And for that trip, we didn't make it to that resort. I told Pete, put the pedal to the metal and back the bus up and let's go. And he didn't peek, did not detest. He did just what I told him to do. We had to inch by inch back down that road, but we did it. Because Pete said, I'm not going forward with that thing out there. I don't know what it is. I don't know what we saw. And after that, there were more encounters, but that one right there, to be on a bus, reminds me of that fellow that came on a couple of months back, and the Bigfoot was there shaking his trailer and growling. Reminds me of that one right there. I'm telling you, these creatures are vicious. They will not distinguish between how many people is there, and if it's one person, they will surely kill you as soon as looking you. And like I said, they are a primate. They do exist. And thank goodness we never fed any of them, because just like they are vicious when you stop feeding them. That I do know. My brother gave it something one day and it kept coming back. And he ended up telling us at the end that he fed it. I said, I don't know what you did that for, but now we've got a problem. And now as far as the cabin in Washington, none of us really go up there. I haven't been up there in 6 years. I don't plan on going back there. That was my first encounter, and that one just stuck in my head with the rest of them. And this thing it's here. We can't do anything about it. I mean, there are folks that we watch, by me being going all over the place in the summertime and the fall. I pretty much know what to take, what to do, what not to do. And me and my father have literally done everything together, gone everywhere. And we watch people who literally go into the woods, whether it be hiking, fishing, hunting, whatever they do. They are not prepared. One fellow said as recently as a couple of years ago, I have a Google translator, some kind of assistant that you hold out in your hand that runs by battery. And my father asked him, are you going to be okay with that thing? Are you sure? He said, oh, yeah, this is state of the art. This thing will never die. We saw him about 5 o'clock that morning, just walking casually along to the wooded area. At 12 o'clock p.m., this same fella came knocking on our door. He said, look, you got to help me, please. This man was in such a state of panic. He wasn't even able to tell us what he saw. He just said, I need a phone. I got to get the hell out of here. And we tried to talk to him and calm him down. He said, just give me a ride to the nearest bus station so I can get out of here. He was panic stricken. We've seen a lot of them come and go. And my father just said, I knew he wasn't going to last, because that GPS thing, it goes for, if you have a compass, that's one thing, but a GPS, if you have your cell phone service, is only going to get so far. When you go out to the remote wilderness, as I've been, you will not get any signal anywhere. For the one in Kansas, in Kansas, we're lucky we even got a signal out there, because where we were was completely remote. And the only way in, there was one road in and one road out. And once you went in, the same road you came in is the same road you went out on. God help you if one of these creatures came, pushed a tree down, or came out in the middle of the road as it did, blocking the buses. If we'd have gone through it, we would have probably gotten more than what we originally got. But we had to get out of there. And these kind of times, Tom and Mr. Will, you can't just you don't have moments to think, moments to spare. You have to think about getting the hell out of there and getting out of there now. Damn the equipment and whatever else you have, let it be. Your life is more important than trying to think of, oh, let me get a picture of it, or let me see what it looks like. I'm telling you, it's a scary situation I've been in. This is 9 encounters that I've seen, and every encounter has gotten scarier than the next. They do not get any better. They just get worse as far as talking to someone. I've had folks tell me, well, why don't you talk to a shrink? No, that's out of the question. When you talk to regular common folk, they look at you as if you have two heads, and they will easily misinterpret whatever you say or brush it off because they haven't seen what you've seen. And I haven't just seen Bigfoot. I have seen things that are not Bigfoot, heard things that are not Bigfoot, like the supernatural, so to speak, or paranormal. And those kind of things are very scary too. And I'm not saying that every encounter is the same because it's not, but I tell you this, when you've had an encounter, whether you see one or not, it changes your life and it changes you forever. I still have nightmares over this. I got blamed because my cousin got missing out there. I have to live with that every single day of my life, and that's not an easy thing to live with. And these things are just, they're here. I don't know how it's better to say it than that. They're here. We have to live with them. And folks, if you're out there and you're feeding them, please don't. These creatures get vicious when you stop feeding them. And they can come into your house and attack your house. They can attack you. We had an incident up in Washington where I was sleepy that night, and my father told me to bolt the door because he had already gone to bed. I said, sure. I went to the door and called myself bolting it, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it properly. And about 20 minutes later, everybody was all settled in the bed. We heard a loud howling noise that just seemed like somebody was in agony and severe pain. That you couldn't do anything to put them out of, even if you tried. This creature burst into the cabin, and that cabin was 2 floors. We were all up on the 2nd floor in the bedrooms asleep. This creature burst into this cabin. Everything downstairs was destroyed from a total mess. And my father grabbed his shotgun. He was going down there to try to see what it was, because by him being a military man and doing the various things and working on the railroads, he really was not afraid of anything or anyone. He shoots you as soon as he see you if he don't know what you're doing. And he said he went to the bottom of the second to the last step. When he saw what was standing in that living room, he ran upstairs. Everybody get in the room now and be quiet. He put a blanket over all of us children so we wouldn't see if anything came in. He put himself against the door in case that thing tried to come up there and try to get in the room or do whatever it does. And that thing did come upstairs, but he didn't touch that room. He went to every other room in that upstairs and just destroyed it. And it looked, when we all came to, it took us for hours. We didn't know if it was still down there being quiet. We had no idea what was going on. When we all did come out, my father said, let me go first. He went downstairs. It looked like a tornado blew through our house. And I'm telling you, that howling noise that creature made sounded like the horn of a freight train. And by my father working on the railroads, he knew what that sound sounded like. And he said it looked like a tornado tore through the place. We had to completely remodel redo that entire cabin again. And it's redone now, but the only one that goes up there is my dad now. He's the brave one. I cannot do it. And to see something like that in your home, invade the privacy of your home and get that close to you, closer than you being at a creek with your family member and it stands right there, that's scary. And none to say the less, it was underwear changing moment for everyone, because we didn't know what to expect. This thing was already down there, and it sounded like it was more than one, but we only heard, my father said he only saw one down there. And by the time any of us got down there to see it, it was gone. And it never came back after that until we started rebuilding. And once we fully rebuilt, we didn't hear as much noise, but we still heard the wood knocks. We still heard the whoops. And one time we even got fooled by this creature because they're very good at mimicking sounds and hearing sounds and noises. My father, when he wants to get our attention or call us in for dinner, he makes 3 whistling noises. I cannot do it, but he makes 3 distinct whistling noises that we all can hear. Doesn't matter where we are. And one night we heard that noise, but we heard it twice. And we said, oh, goody, dinner's on the table. We all trooped back in the house. The adults are looking at us like, we didn't call you in. And my brother said, Dad, you just gave the signal. He said, son, no, I didn't. I've been in here, sitting here for the last 20 minutes. You all have 20 minutes left. I said, Dad, are you sure you didn't call us? And he said, I'm positive. He said, you all, what did you hear? I said, Dad, we heard the same 3 whistles that you give us. We didn't hear nothing different. We heard it twice. He said, it was not me. And that's when he looked up and was like, I know what it was, but he didn't say anything. And I was the kind of child, I questioned my father. I said, Dad, what is that thing that I saw? He told me, never you mind, girl. Just let it go. Don't ask again. And my grandparents would tell us stories. Grandpa and Grandma would sit us all down and tell us stories about the wood booger. She said, don't let the wood booger get you. Don't stay out there too late or they're going to get you. My brothers and sisters were scared. Silly me, I was scared but excited. I wanted to know more about this thing. But now, Tom and Will, that I am older, I sort of am glad that I had this experience, but then again, not really, because it haunts me. And nobody knows how much it haunts me. This is an everyday thing. To go to sleep and wake up at night with nightmares about this creature. I cannot tell you how hard it is. I can tell you that talking about it has helped me a little bit, but there are some people who have literally been hushed up by this thing, or they can't talk about it, which is why I said, some things I have to say are limited, but this thing is out now. And I do understand that, they do try to hide it, but, somebody ought to be telling somebody about other people about this thing, because these creatures are dangerous. And I would not want anyone to go out and try to shoot any one of these creatures, because my father took a shot at it when he went to look for my cousin, because he said he saw something out there. And he said it made the most god-awful, ear-splitting, howling noise that we heard from the cabin. And those men were deep out in those woods, and we could hear it. And we would hear the howls at night. If it wasn't the howls, the wood knocks and the whoops. But mainly it was the howls and the wood knocks. Every night, same time start, same time stop. And it was every day. It never let up. Even during the daytime, you would hear growls coming from the woods, but you'd never see anything. And I told my father, by us being their dad, we are a bother to them. We're like something like Mr. Will, how you put it. Something's in your living room that shouldn't be there. It's going. They feel that way. They felt that way about us. We don't belong there. Get the hell out. That's what they're basically saying. Get out of our woods. And I have had several friends who have gone missing due to this creature. A friend of mine recently went to the Appalachian Trail a month ago. We have not heard from her. I cannot say it was a Bigfoot. I can't specify what exactly happened, but there are other things out there that's not Bigfoot. But you all are right. People do associate it with it. The first thing they hear, that's a Bigfoot. And I have been all around. I've seen bobcat, bear, cougar, panther, whatever it is that's out there, you name it, I've seen it. Coy wolves, coyotes, and what have you. And the sounds that this Sasquatch creature makes is nothing that I have ever heard before. It is.
Well, listen, Janae, I got to agree with you on that. It definitely, it's a very unique sound. That's for sure. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate you getting a hold of us, and I want you to stay in touch. And if you get any updates, let us know, okay?
Oh, sure. Tom, may I say something for a second?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tom and Will, first of all, gentlemen, thank you all so very much for giving me this opportunity. Chris and Buddy and everyone who's listening, I love you all. And folks, if you have an encounter, it may be worth a shot just to tell someone about it, because keeping it bottled up makes it a lot harder. And folks, if you do like the content, please let Tom and Will know.
Well, thank you, Janae. We really appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. And you're right. It's good to kind of get it off your shoulders. So if you got a story and you want to let us know, please do. And remember, we keep your ID confidential, your identity confidential. All right. Well, folks, stand by for the next segment, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Creek Devil. If you or anyone you know has had an encounter with these creatures, please contact us at williamjevning@yahoo.com. That's William, Jevning, @yahoo.com. All communication is confidential. Join us for another program next week. And until then, keep your eyes open out there.